Welcome back to Call Me By Your Game, the podcast where I, your host Connor McCabe, bring on a guest to hear from them about a meaningful or memorable video game from a particular moment in their life. This is a podcast about what make video games special to different people, and a little bit of housekeeping up top is that anything that my guest or I plug today, whether it be a sketch team, an Instagram, or even a Patreon where you can find bonus video game podcasts from me and the makers of this show, you can find that stuff in a link in the show notes. So whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast catcher, scroll down, and in the episode notes, you'll find some wonderfully organized links by yours truly. I encourage you to consider checking out our Patreon, Super NPC Radio, where we have a bunch of bonus video game podcasts from me and the makers of Video Games, a Comedy Show. And coming up this Friday, I believe, the episode that comes out will announce our newest Games Club election for the game we're going to be covering in our book club style format for quarter 3 this year. And I'll break the news a little early. Sorry, Games Club listeners. We're getting that information out now. Our election is going to be titled Of Mice and Mice. Because that's right, folks. You're going to be picking between 2 games starring a mouse. The first of which is Mina the Hollower, which comes out on May 29th by Yacht Club Games, or the new first-person shooter with the sort of old-school Disney cartoon style of art, Mouse P.I. for Hire. So if you want to vote in that election, if you're already a patron, you can do it, or join at the $2 Mailroom Toad tier. You can do that as well. But again, you can find a bunch of free stuff there as well. Just check out all the links in the show notes for a bunch of good stuff. But the election will go live next Friday. That's gonna do it for the housekeeping. A little longer than usual. Please welcome to the microphone our guest, comedian, actor, and hacker, Ezra Parter. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Connor. Thanks so much for having me.
You're so welcome. This is very exciting for me. I don't want to tease things too much because I know I'm going to set you up for that a little later.
Sure.
But sometimes on the show we just have topics that we don't get into very often, and let's just say you've blessed us with a little bit of fun later because we're going to get into some Romhacks stuff. But I guess I sort of teased that and then didn't let you talk. Do you have anything you want to say really quick off of the heels of what I just shared?
No, I'm excited that Romhacks are new to you. I figured with your extensive video game knowledge, you must have gotten into that world a little bit, but maybe not at all. Maybe this is brand new, and it's something. You introduced me as a hacker. I've never made one. I wish I had. It would have been so cool if I could come on and be like, "Here's how you do it," but I don't know how you do it. I just love to play them. It's so cool when fans of a game are like, you know what? I love this so much. I want to make it my own. And that's just one of the beautiful things about all art forms, right? So I love it for video games too, and yeah, they're so fun.
It's great. It's like, I'll say up top, I have like a limited experience with ROM hacks, but not an extensive one, and it's reminiscent to me of fan fiction writing. Mm-hmm. Of like, you know what? I love this world. I love this sort of concept. Let's put my spin on it or make something completely original, at least in the series. So I'm so pumped to talk to you about that a little more later. But Ezra, you and I know each other how I know the majority of my guests. We met through the Los Angeles improv community. Unlike the indie scene, even before the pandemic, I was familiar with you playing at TNT, and we probably also played at the same shows at the same time outside of just that show that I used to host. But we became a little more familiar and got to see each other more consistently when we were both on Herald Night at UCB. But that's how I know you. What do you want to share about yourself, and what should the listeners know about you?
Yeah, improv is a huge part of my life for sure. I'm so glad we crossed paths when we did. Yeah. Pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, it's all been fun. Herald Night was great. I did get cut, but I'm okay.
Let's just say it happens to the best of us, pal.
Yeah. Yeah, you did too, right? So it happens. But it's great. Improv is not the only thing I do. I love sketch comedy too. And we were talking briefly before we started recording. I also do a podcast about a hockey team, the Colorado Avalanche, who are in the playoffs right now. If you're a hockey fan, you're not alone. There's not too many of us that I run into, but especially in the LA comedy world. But there's a few.
Yes.
And listen to Mile High Hockey Lab if you want to hear me talk about hockey, make jokes about the Avs, as well as these jokes I'm about to make about everything else. That's me.
Dang, I love a smattering of just good stuff. I feel like we are kind of, just the more I've learned about you, even the like brief time we've been chatting before we hopped on the pod today, and being reminded about, your Avs fandom and your podcast, I'm like, oh, we are kind of kindred spirits. Like, you seem like someone else who is passionate about so many different things. And for me, sometimes the challenge is just like, okay, how do I focus that passion on one of these things at a time? It's impossible for me.
Yeah, totally. I'm right there with you. I feel like my life is structured where like each day is like, this is the day that is sketch comedy. This is the day that is hockey. This is the day that is improv. And then I also host Not Too Shabby at UCB now. So like, this is the day that's character specific comedy. And yeah, it's a lot and I like it, but there's definitely like my Tuesday off day. I'm like, wait, what do I do tonight? I don't know who I am anymore, but it's good.
So relatable. I'll include a link to your podcast in the show notes. Would you like me to put any socials there as well?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm at Ezra Parter, which my last name's Parter, and it was taken. And now it's ironic because I'm sober, but Ezra Parter. And then my sketch team is Public Breakup, at Public Breakup on all the things. We're posting a video a week these days, which I'm proud of that. For a while
funny.
we were just staged, but thank you.
And I got to see you guys in person. Maybe it's almost been 2 years. It was like the PAC.
Oh yeah.
The PAC had like an improv or like, I guess, a comedy festival in the summer
PAC
of 24.
Fest. Yeah.
And we played the same block.
That's right.
You guys had like, you put up like 3 or 4 sketches in that block.
Uh-huh.
It was so funny. So yeah, definitely
Thank
I'll put a link
you.
to your sketch team's Instagram there as well.
Yeah, please do. We have our next show is going to be June 9th at UCB.
Yes. So
if you're in the LA area and you want to see some sketch comedy, we're a fun time, and UCB's letting us do shows there too now. So that's great. And then improv, I'm on Dodo at Dodo Improv. That's the dough like the bread, DOUGH. And that's where we have a great time. We went to London, Berlin, Seattle. We've been touring around a little bit, and our shows are wild and gross and wonderful. So,
dude, incredible. Well, I'll include links to everything in the show notes, and then on our way out too, I'll give you a chance to just reiterate everything you just plugged if you want, or as much or as little as you'd like. But is there?
Oh, and I forgot one.
Yeah,
I forgot
please.
one, an important one.
Yes.
How could I forget Daily Misinformer, the thing that takes up 3 days of my week every week? That's political satire jokes on all the platforms at Daily Misinformer. Incredible. But yes, I'll replug this all at the end in case any of you forget.
I know some listener at the end is going to be like, wait, what was that one thing? And we're going to remind them. That's what we're going to do.
Perfect.
Have you gotten to share everything you want about yourself so far?
Yeah. I mean, all the things I do, nothing about who I actually am, but we'll get there.
Okay. I love it. Well, we are pretty soon going to dive into your general history with video games. But before we do, I'd love if you tease what you've brought on for the main event in the second half of the show, and please call me by your game.
All right. Today's game is Fire Emblem Rom Hacks. Fan-made games based on the original Game Boy Fire Emblem. I guess they're not the original. Based on Game Boy Fire Emblems.
Yes. I didn't say this earlier when we were kind of like chatting, but coincidentally, saw a friend streaming one of the GBA ROM hacks.
Oh, really?
Like 2 weeks ago. So quite recent. So it's very, I think between the time I saw that and hit you up, would never have guessed that we'd be talking about that, but here it is.
That's
amazing. I guess
amazing.
I'm just destined to hear about it.
Yeah. Do you remember which one?
He said it
There's
on stream. I have
so
no
many.
idea what it
Yeah,
was.
no, it's okay.
Well, I'm pumped to get into that a little later, but let's dive into, your general relationship with games. I'd love to start, as close to the beginning as we can. I would love to hear about your earliest memories with video games, whether these are you yourself playing, watching someone else play, seeing them somewhere. What comes to mind for you?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I mean, the first thing that I thought of when you asked me to do the show was the game Earthworm Jim.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is this. I imagine if I went back and played it, I'd be like, this is bad now. But it was this game that was on Game Boy, the original Game Boy, and my friends at school had it. And whenever I'd get to go over to my friend Mitchell's house, we'd take turns playing it, and it was a blast. But that's not my earliest video game memory. That's just the first thing I thought of. Before that, also on the original Game Boy, my cousins I would visit every once in a while, like probably twice a year I'd visit, and they had Tetris on the original Game Boy, and they'd be in the back of the van and I'd be in the middle seat because that's like, I don't know, that's just how it broke down if we were going anywhere. Usually somebody's, a bar mitzvah or a wedding or something. I don't know.
Probably the more tolerable of the three. So like, let's put him in the middle. We can both stand him.
That's pretty accurate. But yeah, my cousins Nathan and Michael would be in the back fighting over who got to play Tetris, and then I'd be like, "Can I just at least watch?"
Yes.
And it was the idea of a Game Boy was so enticing. I didn't have one for a long time, and then finally, when Pokemon Red and Blue came out, that was when my parents finally were like, I don't know. It has nothing to do with Pokemon. My parents don't know anything about it, but it just coincided. They finally were like, okay, we'll get you this game on a Game Boy, and I haven't slept since.
That is incredible, and you look amazing for having not slept, I have to say, and are doing very well. You're a functioning person. There's so much I want to dive into already. So we don't have to dive into this too much if you don't want to. You were telling me earlier you're from Wisconsin, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Did your cousins live in the same state? How far did you have to travel to see them?
My cousins were in Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my mom's from Portland, and her siblings are all moved to Seattle through their lives, but she followed my dad to Wisconsin instead. And so, yeah, I grew up in Wisconsin near my dad's family, but every year we'd go visit my mom's family at least twice for Jewish holidays or whatever else.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I got to spend time with my cousins that way.
Awesome.
Then when I was 13, sorry to cut you off.
No, please,
when I was 13, we moved to Seattle. So then I was with them all the time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I was just going to say that I can relate to that a little bit because I grew up in the Central Valley of California, but none of my cousins lived near us. Like the closest we had was San Diego for a while, but then they moved to Tennessee. But most of my family is from basically the St. Louis, Missouri area. It's really Illinois just across the river, but so I would relate to like visiting cousins probably once a year, maybe twice if we were lucky, and like actually seeing my older cousins play their games on their Game Boy or the NES or what have you. So I can really relate to just making a discovery like that and being captured by it.
Yeah. Do you remember what games?
Absolutely. Like when it comes to the Game Boy, because they definitely had one before I got one. I remember my cousin Lisa had the original Super Mario Land. You ever played that one?
Oh, yeah.
It's a funky one, but I love it. Very short game. And then, because I already knew Mario, but I was like, Mario's really small in this one because the sprite is so tiny.
Teeny tiny.
She had one of the original Kirby games, if not the first one, which I believe was for the Game Boy. And then on the NES, we had an NES at home, but my cousins and my grandparents each had like different games. Like I think that's where I discovered Super Mario Brothers had a third game, was at my cousins. They also had like a Back to the Future game and a Goonies game. So that's what I think of.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I remember Mario at a cousin in Portland's house where they were like, okay, we need to give this little guy something to do because these are all like, my sister is 8 years older, and they were all like girls her age at this house. Oh, okay. So they were like, okay, let's get the boy out of here. And they plugged me into Super Mario, and I was on an NES, and I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll stop talking about myself, turn it back to you a little bit. Getting this Game Boy and one of the first Pokemon games, do you remember getting an original Game Boy? Was it a Pocket? Was it a color?
Oh, I had the original Game Boy first. Yeah.
Awesome.
I eventually did get a color. When Yellow came out, I was like, I have to get on color because it was Yellow on color. Yeah, I think Yellow was on color. Yeah. But I had Red. and my friend Mitchell, who I talked about before, had blue, which was, you know, the trading element. You had to have both. So yeah, we would game all the time. And then there was like a crew of us, Mitchell, Andy, Lauren, me, and Gus, who all had Pokemon games, and that was the crew. We would go. They all lived near each other. I guess Gus and I lived close too, but Gus and I would bike over to the other neighborhood that they all lived in, and that was like, it's Pokemon time.
Dude, it's like you had your own little crew of trainers. You could role play pretending you're Ash, Misty, and Brock or whoever.
Dude, genuinely, yeah, it was great.
That's amazing. So was getting the Game Boy, did that kick you off into this being a hobby of yours? Was it just a limited thing for you before you found other stuff in the future?
Yeah, I was a huge reader. Like I loved reading books and getting into these, like mostly fantasy books. I read it before Disney changed the canon. I had read every single Star Wars book. That was like the whole extended universe. I dove into these worlds, and then having video games as another set of worlds to dive into, I was all in. They were so fun, and so like such a new way to interact with finding a new world, which is what I always loved doing so much with books. But yeah, my parents were pretty reluctant to get me video games because they just, my grandpa's a math professor, and they were very much like, you have to be very erudite, you have to go to school, and video games are just boring. Like they thought Pong is what video games are, but like video games are stories. I've spent the last 30 years trying to convince my parents, like, no, video games are reading. It is reading, I swear. So yeah, it just like unlocked this whole new way to go about it. And, you know, I have distinct memories of reading books under my blanket, or I had a bed with not a trundle, but like a storage drawer underneath it. And I would crawl down the other side of the bed and push the storage thing out and have like a little fort down there where I thought my dad would think I was asleep and not catch that I had a light on while I was reading, or playing, or then they had those like snake light things for the Game Boy. That was on the Color. They didn't have that on the original. But so I moved from doing that under the bed with my books to doing that under the bed with my Game Boy. And like, that's why I said not sleeping, because I would stay up till I passed out like every night until they finally were like, you can't have this in your room at night.
Yes.
They got wise eventually, but
that's that image is so adorable and fun. It's so fun imagining you doing that as a kid. I love the little I had a little worm light as well for my Game Boy Color.
Worm light, that's what it was called, yeah.
I can't remember what color it was. It was maybe like a translucent. It doesn't matter, but
mine was the translucent purple.
Yeah, it may have had the same exact one. Well, how did your relationship with games continue after this? Was Pokemon kind of it for you on the Game Boy? Did you discover things at friends' houses? Where did you go from here?
Yeah, I mean, Game Boy, like the original Game Boy really was Pokemon. Like, I'm sure I had other games. I remember Earthworm Jim. There were other things. I'm sure I had like a DK or a Mario, but like Pokemon is what I remember. And then on the Color, that's when I got into Fire Emblem 2, which we'll cover more later, I think. But yeah, so those two, Pokemon and Fire Emblem, definitely were like the pillars of mobile gaming to me. Yes. And then same cousins I went to visit when I was a little older, and they had Xbox and they had Halo. And I was so bad at Halo. I was so bad. Like they didn't even have fun playing against me because I was just so bad. It's because I'd never played a shooter. I didn't know how to do it, you know? And so then I was like, I've got to get an Xbox. And my parents really did not want to go down that road. They're like, you got the Game Boy, that's enough. And so I toiled. I languished in that loss for a long time, but then I had my appendix out. I had to have my appendix out. I had appendicitis, and in my recovery, like, you know, I was bedridden for a couple of days, and my parents were like, "All right, we'll get you a GameCube." So they got me a GameCube, and then I got to get into those Mario games and like get into that, branch out a little bit into that. My mom's super anti-gun, so like Halo was not happening, but yeah, anything that was like a little more Nintendo-y, a little more kid friendly,
sort of.
Oh yeah, family friendly. I got into all that.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you leveraged that misfortune into getting a GameCube. That's incredible.
Yeah.
If you think back to that time, do you remember? I mean, you kind of like mentioned some Marios generally. Do you remember what games you played on the GameCube?
Yeah. What I really remember is Star Wars games.
Awesome.
Star Wars was a huge obsession. I know I'm not alone in that, but it really was. I think was Jedi Knight on there. I don't really remember. So the GameCube itself, that was a short-lived like thing for me because we moved shortly after that, and when we moved to Seattle, like I had my appendix out, and then 6 months later we moved to Seattle. So I had the GameCube for like that summer, but it was summer, and I was on swim team. I didn't have that much time to be a gamer in the summer. But then when we moved, then I did eventually get an Xbox.
Okay.
And so I remember, Star Wars. What is the one where you can like have a battle royale with the Star Wars guys from the original Xbox?
Battlefront?
Not Battlefront. It was all lightsaber fighting.
There's so many Star Wars games. Was it on do you remember playing this on a console or a computer?
I think this was Xbox.
Okay. I wonder, like, I also played another one that's similar to Battlefront called Star Wars Clone Wars. It's not based off the Clone Wars, and it's actually just based off of Attack of the Clones. But there's so many Star Wars games. Yeah,
there's an endless list of Star Wars games at this point.
But Jedi Knight and Jedi Knight Academy are games. They're continuations of the Dark Forces series.
Yes.
Which I think Kyle Katarn is like the first main character.
Yeah.
Who I know, but
I loved playing as Kyle Katarn for sure. I think that was GameCube. I'm pretty sure, or it might have been Xbox. That part of all of middle school, like with the whole move and everything, it's all I lost. I don't remember anything.
Yes.
It's all a blur.
Yes.
But yeah. And I think like gaming for me really took off a little bit later, but definitely I was in that Xbox world once I got one.
Yes. When gaming did take off for you, when was this? What were you playing? What was like sort of the catalyst for that?
It's a great question. I mean, I definitely like any Pokemon game that came out. I wanted it and I got it, and I played all the Pokemons. Fire Emblem for sure. Also, any new Fire Emblem on the handheld. For Xbox, it was more like social games, like Soul Calibur comes to mind. Like anything where I could get my friends to come over and play together. But we also liked exploring gaming together. But then I think my first like true like the console, getting off handheld and getting into playing on a TV alone in a way that was like diving into a world again after initially falling in love with that with the Pokemon and Fire Emblem games was Skyrim. Skyrim like completely. This was like in college at this point, but my roommate in college got it, and it was again, I was like, oh my God, I have to watch this guy play this game, similar to with my cousins. And then eventually once he beat it, he let me borrow it. And man, I put so many hours into Skyrim. It was crazy. I was also playing at this time a lot of Settlers of Catan Online. Do you know anything about Catan Online?
Not on the online version.
Okay, so it's the board game, but you can play against people from around the world. But also, it was a site called play-catan.com, and the dash was important because play-catan.com was like a bad version. Play-catan.com, and it had like these versions of like every version of the board game, but then also these ones that whoever runs the site just invented, where one was called Endless Catan, where like it was the first to 100 points, and normal Catan is the first to like 10. So it was, and I would just put hours and hours into this instead of studying, instead of going to class. College was a crazy time.
Where did
but
you
really
go to
that
school?
like, I went to University of Washington in Seattle.
Cool.
Yeah. But really this like video games as like a kind of an escape from responsibility was such a huge thing for me, where I was like, I don't want to deal with what's out there. I'm going to just come in here and do this thing and be like in control of something and have such a good time. And I did that for hours and hours and hours. That playcatan.com. And then once he lent me Skyrim. Oh man, so much Skyrim.
Oh man, I actually do have a pretty deep relationship with Skyrim. It was kind of the first game I had been playing on friends' Xbox 360s, like the occasional game like a Halo or Fable 3, if you know the Fable
I loved
series
Fable.
at all.
Oh my god, the Fable games are so good.
I loved especially the original. I just played on my computer growing up, so I still have a soft spot for that. But Skyrim, when I finally got a 360 going into my senior year of college, that was the game that I saved until I just knew it was going to consume me. I saved it until our winter break that year, and I brought my Xbox home for break and played it so much. I could talk about that game forever.
Oh, me too. It's the number of playthroughs I've done is embarrassing, but also I've played through it like in every style, in every possible way, and I found that the most fun thing is just a sneaky archer. Archer. Oh my god,
it's hard to get away from that in the game.
Yeah, it's so good. I haven't replayed it in a long time because I think The Witcher 3 kind of took over as my like pinnacle of gaming.
Oh, fun.
The Witcher 3 that's like so good. And right now I'm playing one that like it's trying to be a Skyrim replacement called oh my god, what's it called?
Quite new?
It's pretty new. It's the like
it's not Crimson Desert, is it?
No, I want to play that. It's the King Arthur one.
Kingdom Come Deliverance?
Oh no, I love Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Yeah.
That game is incredible. That it's so good because it's so hard.
I've heard it's so
I think it's called like
so rewarding.
Yes. No, once you get through the like the brutality of how difficult it is. And not difficult in the same way that like a Dark Souls or one of those like games that is like this boss is unbeatable no matter what you do all the time until you learn the one thing. It's not like that. It's just like you have to genuinely learn skills in a way that you don't have to in other games. It's really cool. This one is called oh my god, let me search it. I can't believe I've put like 12 hours into it already and I don't know.
I wonder if I'm going to know it or not.
Okay. It's not coming up when I search for King Arthur video game.
What have you been playing it on?
On Xbox.
What could it be? Is it another like first-person open-ish world sort of RPG?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not... This game isn't like King Arthur-y, but it's not Avowed, is it?
No, I liked Avowed enough.
Yes.
It was okay.
I actually played through the whole frickin' thing, and I don't play every game all the way through.
Yeah, me neither. But I did with Avowed. This is crazy that it's not coming up because it is a King Arthur video game.
Yes.
But it is not called King Arthur. So everything I'm finding is King Arthur. It's like Veiled Gauntlet or something like that, or like. Oh my god!
I wish
what
I
is
knew
it
what
called?
This was.
Me too. Oh, this is crazy. But if I just go to the other room, I will know. I'll be right
Honestly,
back. This is worth it. It's worth it.
Go
it's worth
for it. This is going to be the most delayed gratification we've ever had on a podcast, unless something's come up at the beginning of a show and then has come back at the end of it where someone's had a realization. Okay, we're looking. Ezra's looking right now. We're looking at like a Switch or a Steam Deck.
Oh no. Tainted Grail.
I've never even heard of this.
Really?
Tainted Grail?
Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon.
Yeah, I'm seeing... Okay, hold on. Maybe if I see images, I'll be like, I know what this is. Yeah, it came out last year.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
It's very dark. It's like if Skyrim was only like the death cult quests. It's like it's all so gory and grimy.
Did it come from like a tabletop game?
Yeah, it did. It's an adaptation of a tabletop game. I had no idea about that until at some point in the game I completed something and it like had a cutscene where it explained how it was connected to the tabletop game, which was so interesting.
You too can purchase the tabletop game, Ezra.
Basically, that was it was just like I completed one of the expansions early, and it had like a credits sequence. But yes, Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon. It's very Skyrim-like.
All right.
but weirdly darker.
Interesting. It sounds. I mean, you said it earlier, but you're really standing pat on that. Sort of the promise of like how much of a fantasy fan you are.
Oh yeah.
In games, it sounds like that's at least is half of your escape from what I'm hearing of. I was like playing, just kind of like role playing in a fantasy environment.
Yeah, 100%.
That's really cool.
And I think part of it is because I grew up without gun games at all.
Yeah.
That like RPG, first person shooters still. My mom really, really did a number on me. I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable doing this. And I am generally a person who's like, let's have less guns in the world. That'd be great.
Yes.
So it's not just her, it's also me. But yes, the like swords and magic, that is my, oh man, that's where I want to be with gaming. That's where I want to be with TV shows. That's where I want to be with books.
Yes.
Give it to me. Yeah.
You were talking about books earlier, and I've been reading more the last like 8 months, but I've mostly been reading like satirical fiction. And I'm reading a book about writing right now, so it's not fiction at all. But has there been like a fantasy book or a series that you've read recently that you would recommend? I'm asking for a rec myself this time.
Oh, absolutely. The Stormlight Archive is incredible. It's Brandon Sanderson. He also did Mistborn, and he finished the Wheel of Time series after that author passed away, Robert Jordan. All 3 of those series are wonderful. Wheel of Time, you're in for 15 books. So and like the last Robert Jordan ones are pretty. They're kind of a slog, but then when Brandon Sanderson takes over, it's incredible. And his Mistborn and Stormlight Archives are incredible.
Do you
so
recommend
good.
one or the other to start to like read the first in one of those series?
I think that I read Mistborn first.
Okay.
That's a trilogy, and it definitely. Reading that first and then seeing the connections later to the Stormlight Archive, because all of his books are in the same world, or like not world, but like universe, I guess, was really cool. And I don't know if you would have the same experience going the other way. But that being said, Stormlight is like the magnum opus of Brandon Sanderson. That is like, those books are so good. They don't have a closed loop yet. He's working on them still. So if you're like, I want something I can finish, Mistborn. There's a second Mistborn trilogy that's like a sequel trilogy. It didn't quite work. He did the thing that Fable did, where the first 2 are heavy fantasy, and then the third one, they're like, what if it was actually a little bit more like we had guns and stuff?
Yeah.
He did that with the sequel, and unfortunately that didn't play for me. But
yes. Well, thank you. This is Brandon Sanderson keeps coming up for my friends who are more fantasy novel readers, and I've been having an itch for honestly just anything that is in a genre like that. So, and I've liked fantasy in the past, so I'll let you know if I dip into Mistborn, because I do have an appetite for it.
Yeah, I think you should. It's really cool. If you like more, that's like high fantasy. Yeah. Well, it's not really even high fantasy because there's no elves and stuff, but like it's not quite Tolkien-esque. It's its own thing. But if you like low fantasy, which is more like medieval magic, but not like gremlins and ghouls and everything, then Joe Abercrombie is another great author. Okay. His stuff is really good. I can't remember the name of the series, but all of his stuff is great.
Joe Abercrombie. Okay, thank you. I love it. I get to, usually I'm the one giving recommendations on this show, but I just got one right out of you for me. It was very selfish for a sec.
Yeah, totally. It's funny to talk so much about fantasy because I feel like everyone's next question is always like, so how often do you play Dungeons and Dragons? And the answer is almost never. Yeah. But I'm always like, that'd be so fun. I would do it, but it just never happens.
Have you, on that subject, because I've actually never played D&D. I've played like, I forget what they call them, like one-offs, like a tabletop role-playing game that's like you can do in one sitting essentially. But I wonder if you might like any games that sort of dip into the D&D sort of elements, like Baldur's Gate or Divinity Original Sin or anything like that.
I didn't really like Divinity for some reason. It was fine. It was a game that I definitely was like, oh, I will play this story and it'll be okay. And then like halfway through, I was like, eh. But Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the best games that I've ever played. That was so fun and good. There's like a nice sense of humor to it that I think is important to D&D that was maybe missing for me from Divinity. Mm-hmm. I don't really know D&D that well. I'm not sure why I said it like that, but it's important to me in fantasy stuff. And yeah, Baldur's Gate was so good. That's one that I played it through once and I was like, I will replay this at some point, but I haven't yet. And I don't know if I ever will. I'm not really a big like, you know, some people have like their comfort shows, The Office or whatever, and they'll just put it on. And I'm like, no, I saw that already. I don't have any interest in it again, you know? But I feel like Baldur's Gate is one where there should be replay value because there's so many different ways to play it. In the same vein of Skyrim, which I definitely replayed a lot.
Yes. But that's a rarity for you, it sounds like.
Very rare, very rare. And that's honestly, that's part of why, we'll get into Romhacks in a bit, but that's part of why they were so enticing to me because it is like, I love to play this game, but I know this story already. Yes. So somebody give me a new story and let me play the same game. Mm-hmm. And that's what those Romhacks are. Awesome.
I've just got a couple more questions for you about your history with gaming. The first of which, you had kind of already mentioned, I think that was a game you were playing, which was, what was it? Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon.
Yes.
Is that what you've been playing lately, or have you been playing anything else?
Yeah. Well, I'm always playing NHL. The sports game. Like that's always like that Chell is the online version. I'm not a big online, I don't do a lot of like playing with other people. I love video games as like a moment to myself. But so NHL is always like there for me when I need something. But I tend to be looking for a new RPG at any given time, and Tainted Grail has been that lately. It's been really interesting. I like it. It's nice to feel that Skyrim world exploring again.
Yes.
Before that, what was it? It was Avowed was recent. That's probably, there was something else in between, but I don't. Oh, the new Pokemon switched to the Legends ZA. Yeah, yes. I was playing ZA. That was really fun.
I happened to have been in Japan when it came out. I wasn't planning to get it, but when I was there, I was at the Pokemon store like the day it came out, and I caved and I got it. I to be honest, I didn't really connect with it very much. I probably gave it about 8 hours and then a real college try. But did you end up seeing it through or having like a thorough experience?
Yeah, I played it all the way through. I was nervous that the like real-time fighting thing was going to really be a drag and not give me what I wanted, because I feel like a lot of the Switch Pokemon games have been like slow and frustrating and very geared towards kids, which they should be, but I'm not one. But this one I definitely was like, oh, okay, the real-time thing is working for me. The story was really, really basic and limited, which generally would turn me off from a game, but I like Pokemon enough that it's just like comfort food. Even that, I guess Pokemon is my The Office in a way, where I'm like, that's something that even if I don't really care for it and I'm not really paying that much attention to it, I can still do it and have a decent time. That's a video game that like ZA, Pokemon ZA, I would play while my fiance was watching something, or while we're watching something together even, or like I have to watch every Avalanche game because I do podcasts about it. But a lot of the regular season games this year didn't matter because they were so far ahead in the standings that I was like, okay, I have to pay attention to what's important here, but also let's game a little bit.
Multitask.
So that was a good game for that. Whereas like Tainted Grail, that's going to get my focus, you know?
Yes. Great. The last question I have for you is, what game, if any, are you interested in playing in the future? This could be something that you've seen advertised that hasn't come out yet, or something that's in your backlog.
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is Ghost of Yote.
Yeah.
I got a PlayStation 4 in the pandemic because I had played everything on Xbox that I could think of and was like, I just have to do something else. And Ghost of Tsushima looks so fun. So I did that and I played that. And I played a bunch of other PS4 games. And then the PS5 came out, and I was like, I can't have every system. I just can't do that. I'm not nearly rich enough to pull that off. So I never got the PS5, but everything on PS5 that's like a sequel to what I've played already, I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. The new Spider-Man, Ghost of Yotei, what's it called? Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah.
Ooh, I would love to play those. I would love to play those.
Yeah, some great. Those are some great games right there. So someday, when you feel the time is right, I'm sure you'll have the chance to dive into those. That's awesome.
Yeah. When if I ever find a discount PS5, I'll be all over it.
Well, really quick, because you mentioned, I know I said that was the last question, but because you mentioned Star Wars earlier, have you dipped into the Star Wars Jedi series at all? The new games?
Yeah. I really liked them.
Yeah,
they were really fun. I think. Cal Kestis is the guy's name, right?
Yes.
He's an interesting character, and it's like one of my favorite things about the books before Disney decided they didn't exist anymore was the whole like Luke and Mara Jade. Does this mean anything to you? I don't know.
I know Mara Jade is the lead of one of the Star Wars Jedi Knight games. I know because it's my Steam library.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay, great. Yes. So it's like this like between times when they're like forming the new Jedi Order and like figuring out what the universe is going to be. And I feel like that's so untouched in the like Disney Star Wars canon that it's really nice to get to play with it a little bit with. And Cal Kestis fits not quite in that, but he's like the lead up to whatever else is going to happen. So I feel like it's nice to be like, okay, yeah, we're in the like Luke Skywalker resistance to the Empire kind of
tissue,
thing.
Kind of.
Yeah. And the games themselves were really fun. I love the way that they did world exploring and the combat was good. So yeah, I love those. And then the other new one where you're the girl with the little animal guy.
Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really, really liked that. I was skeptical a little bit at first because I don't know why. I just was like, what is Disney doing to my baby, you know? but then that game was so fun, and it definitely got repetitive in a way that I wish it didn't, but it was so good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for indulging me a little extra on some more Star Wars. A couple games I've actually played. I haven't played them all, but that's fantastic. It's been really fun hearing from you just about, some of your history with video games, Ezra, and some book talk. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, but then when we come back, we'll finally get into all things Fire Emblem Rom Hacks. So I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to Call Me By Your Game. Connor McCabe returning to the mic with my guest, Ezra Parter. Ezra, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
It's time to get into the main event. We're going to finally discuss Fire Emblem Rom Hacks. And like I told you before the show, we're going to do a little table setting and get some context out for the listeners, just in case they are not familiar with the series Fire Emblem, but also the concept of Rom Hacks in general. I'll just kick us off by saying that Fire Emblem is a turn-based RPG, a tactical-based RPG series published by Nintendo, developed by Intelligent Systems. Originally, the first ever game came out on the NES, but the series didn't come over to at least the North America until the Game Boy Advance games came out. I believe the first one is just called Fire Emblem. It has a subtitle in Japan, but not here. There were multiple games on that platform. They still release to this day. Some of the games, too, nowadays have elements of not like life sim, but sort of like relationship building that you can have, where I actually, Ezra, just played through Fire Emblem Awakening for the first time this year. Have you played that one?
Yeah.
I was sure. So we actually did a whole Games Club series on it. So we have 10 episodes that are on our Patreon. Eventually they'll be out for free. And I loved that game. And here I got a little amiibo to celebrate. So here's my my little Crom amiibo. And in that game, I don't believe it's the first one, but it could be. They introduced an element where your characters can develop relationships with each other, and that can lead to advantages on the battlefield. It's a fantasy sort of medieval-based series with magic. It's got sort of a rock, paper, scissors element like most tactical RPGs do, where sword beats axe, axe beats spear, spear beats sword, and there's variations on that as well. And so that's kind of like what Fire Emblem is. And then Romhacks are fan-made modifications of existing games or to existing games that are either completely new campaigns to play, tweaks on an original game, mods, that sort of thing. And it turns out there happens to be a big community who loves making Fire Emblem Rom Hacks.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about sort of the ones that you've mostly engaged with, but when it comes to this concept in general, Ezra, is there anything else you feel like we should share about what Fire Emblem Rom Hacks are, or even diving into sort of like the community itself before we talk about your history with them?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's so cool about it is just fans getting to really like there's these collaborative communities where people are working together to make these games. And you'll see them like I couldn't name anyone, but there's so many like these like long threads of people talking about like, oh, here's a game that would be cool. Here's a cool like way we could tweak this image of this person to make a new character. Here's like all these ideas, and then you'll see like the list of credits for these games that get made are just a long stream of people who are all in the community and have all worked together to collaborate on these things, and nobody's getting paid. Nobody's doing it for money. It's all truly for the love of the game. And it's really beautiful if you think about it like that.
Yeah.
For Fire Emblem, there's a site called feuniverse.com. And it is like, it's all about all the Fire Emblem games, not just the Romhacks. But then there's a page dedicated to, or more than a page. There's a whole section of this site dedicated to just every Romhack ever made and archiving them. And they don't like score them. I wish they would, because there's some real duds out there. But it happens. People are trying stuff. But they do have like how complete a game is, like how many chapters there are, how many different maps there are, whether it's a new invention, like a truly new story with new characters, or it's an adaptation of the existing characters. You mentioned earlier that they're often like fan fiction. And that's probably true for some games, but for Fire Emblem, for whatever reason, it's either somebody has like tweaked a game to make it harder, an existing game to make it harder, or a specific type of playthrough where you can only use one guy or something like that. Or there are these entirely new worlds, entirely new characters, entirely new maps that are just so innovative. Like they've completely, by like through the generations of ROM hacks, people have like made these incredible improvements to the gameplay and the weapon system and the like storage system, and like different ways to just make the game easier to play and more fun to play, that then you start seeing in the actual mainline Fire Emblem games. And you're like, they learned from us. I mean, not me. I've never made a game. I shouldn't say us, but they genuinely learned from the ROM hackers different tweaks that they could make to make their games better. And it's so cool. Yeah,
that's amazing. I feel like you just shared a little bit of passion that there's no way I could have with my very clinical assessment of Fire Emblem and ROM hacks. And I, like I was saying earlier, maybe I didn't say, but you can find ROM hacks of all sorts of games online. It feels like the more popular the game, the more likely there are ROM hacks of it. But then there are passionate communities of fans for more niche titles that really get into this sort of thing. And yeah, it's, again, for me, such a blind spot when it comes to video games. I've definitely played a couple ROM hacks here and there, but it's mostly been something I've been like, oh, I should play one of those someday, rather than actually engaging with it. So thank you for adding a little bit of context and table setting for us.
Yeah.
I want to start the main discussion by asking if you had discovered Fire Emblem before the ROM hack community, before you discovered the ROM hack community. I assume the answer is yes, but I don't want to assume.
No, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I was playing the Game Boy Advance games, and then it was in, I think maybe like senior year of high school or maybe up into college. I'm not 100% sure, that I was just looking for a way to play them on my computer because I didn't have a handheld device. And I was like, oh, there must be a way to just download this somewhere, or I'll buy it, whatever. And then I stumbled into these ROM hacks. Like I accidentally downloaded one that wasn't the game.
Yeah.
And I started playing it and I was like, who are these? But I liked it. I think genuinely, I think I've played every single one. It can't be true, but I think I have.
It feels like that at least.
Yeah, because I've played so many, and I'm constantly going back and being like, did anybody make anything new in the last couple of months that I haven't seen yet?
Yes.
Because even the okay, wait, I should preface that everyone that's new, a new story. I don't really go for I don't need to play the story again with a harder difficulty or anything. I don't care about that. That doesn't do anything for me. But everything that's a new story or a twist on the story, I think I've played. And the same is true for Pokemon Rom Hacks, which just shows you how much time I put into this. But because the Pokemon list it's a long list.
Yes.
Fire Emblem list is long, but the Pokemon list is long.
Yeah. I actually, this is making me realize I want to rewind even further.
Sure.
Do you remember how you discovered the Fire Emblem series or how you started playing those in the first place, and what maybe you enjoy about those games, or even did at the time, that kept you a fan?
Well, I think the first tactical RPG I played was the Final Fantasy one on Game Boy.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. Yeah, exactly. Tactics Advance. That was really fun, and I liked it. And I was like, there must be more games like this. And there really weren't that many, but Fire Emblem was one. And I don't really remember how I got to the Final Fantasy Tactics one. I think maybe I borrowed it's probably Mitchell again. Yeah, I think I borrowed it from him. But then, I just went searching for like, what else is this? And I would go to GameStop in the Bellevue Square Mall, because I worked in the Bellevue Square Mall at the Skechers store. So I'd pop over to the GameStop and be like, what do you guys what are you playing? What do you recommend? And then I had a specific question for the first time in a while, and I was like, give me one like this, and they did. And that's I don't remember who it was. I didn't really have like
out there.
Yeah, truly. I didn't really make friends with the people who worked there, but we knew each other at the time, Yeah. But yeah, so somebody there turned me onto it, and I mean, I haven't stopped.
That's amazing. I'm realizing that if you're bringing up Bellevue, the Bellevue Square Mall.
Yeah.
You must know Nick Costanza. Do you know Nick through improv out here? Did you?
I know Nick
each
through
other there?
through improv, but I didn't know him there. Yeah,
Yes.
And Paul Heredia is also from Issaquah, which is outside Seattle. I didn't know him until I met him here. And Yaki Margulies, we went to the same summer camp. I didn't know him until
no
out
way.
Here. Yeah, we didn't overlap. We went different years, but yeah.
There's a ton of great people from like that area that are in our circles as well. But I was Nick specifically. We do so much podcasting together. I had to ask about him.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. He so that's great. That catches me up to speed there. I assume it's also I don't want to tease this too much. This is giving me a bonus recommendation for you later, just in case you haven't heard of a game. I'm going to store that right now.
Okay,
but
great.
Getting back to with the understanding that you were a fan of Fire Emblem, it sounded like you continued to just play the series as you went. Were you getting every game? Were you playing one every so often?
I definitely had both the Game Boy Advance ones, and I would replay them every so often. That was one, because I just didn't have access to new stuff like that. That had replay value for me. But then there was the GameCube one, which I also got, and then I never got a DS or a 3DS. I eventually got a DS, but I didn't get them like on time, so I didn't have any of those games on time. And actually, the Fire Emblem Awakening, you asked if I played that, and I was like, oh, of course. And then I quickly Googled it and was like, oh, that was a 3DS game. I played a ROM hack somebody made on the Game Boy version of it. So I played it as a Game Boy Advance game.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I know the story, but I didn't get to experience the relationship stuff because they didn't build that in.
Yes.
But I did play through like the campaign.
That's very cool.
But yeah, so then I now have a Switch, and I did play the Switch game, the Three Houses, which was so I played that like on time with everybody else who was playing it. But I did have a big gap where I was just playing these ROM hacks instead of the mainline games.
Yes.
From like the DS to the Switch. I didn't play anything in between. Yeah.
Great. Unrelated, if you ever want to borrow Fire Emblem Engage, which was another one on the Switch.
Oh, yeah.
Let me know. I've got a physical cart. I can loan that to you anytime.
Oh, thank you.
I'll say about that one, the consensus is kind of that the gameplay is improved and so are the maps are improved on Three Houses, but the narrative is much worse. So that actually might be a deterrent for you, who seems to be narrative
I'm very
forward.
narrative driven. Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay, but I understand why people don't like it. So you were telling us earlier as well how you discovered ROM hacks by just looking for a way to emulate games that you had played growing up, and I think this you said was like late high school or college at some point.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly where it was, but definitely I remember like figuring out how, okay, so if you download the main game and then you download the patch that somebody's made, you can splice them together through its other app. And then on a computer, it was easier. But then on my phone, I eventually got it's called Visual Boy Advance, which is the Android gameplay, Game Boy like dupe. That you can turn your Android phone into a Game Boy, and then you have to have Unipatcher, which is this other app that will add the patch to your game file and then create an output file that you can then actually play. It's funny, I've downloaded so many of them that I then was like, I can't store these on my, like, either I'll get a new phone and I lose them all, or like I can't store these on my phone because there's too much data. So now I have a Google Drive folder that's just ROM hacks. So it's like I have a Google Drive folder for games that is the base games in one folder, and then all the Pokemon games in another folder, and then all the hacked versions of the Pokemon games and all the hacked versions of the. So I have just a database of these games on my Google Drive that then whenever I get a new phone, I can just download whichever one I want to play and then delete it off there to keep space.
Oh, that's great. Do you have like early memories of playing these ROM hacks or things that you were discovering about them that still stick out to you at this point?
I just remember like playing some that were incomplete and getting to like chapter 4 and being like, what, that's it? Oh no. And so then I learned how to find the complete ones, because you can search by the complete tag on the feuniverse.com. And so then I found the complete ones, and I was able to be like, to discern which ones seemed like they were going to be good based on how people were writing about it in the chat and like the comments, the thread or whatever. And then I started like bookmarking some of the creators and being like, these guys make good stuff. So anything they collaborate on will probably be good. And that was generally true. And then eventually I just kind of was like, oh, I'll just play anything and see what happens. Yeah, that's not really an early memory. It's more of my process. But
I mean, you had also kind of led us to a spot, or I might be able to deduce that there was something about having a new, for the ones who did have this, a new stories. That was enticing to you through this sort of framework of the gameplay.
Yeah, because I love the tactical RPG gameplay so much. Like that is so fun to me. It's like it's a challenging puzzle. It's an interesting story, and it's like a medieval fantasy world all in one. I used to like these old like Flash games, room escape games that were fun. That were like, those were a puzzle in their own way, but they didn't have much story, and they were like poorly drawn, whatever. And then I also liked an action RPG, getting to be in the RPG world, but there aren't that many good ones that come out and they don't come out that often. So there was there was nothing I could always have that was either of those things that felt satisfying. And then these games are just such a perfect blending of those two things. And they're also, it's important to me for games not to be something that I'm like, oh, I need to find a save point before I can stop, because I do other things in life. You know what I mean? Like, I like a game where it's like, if I just put it down right now, nothing bad is going to happen.
Yes.
And these games have that too. So yeah, just the puzzle solving though really is I love a good puzzle.
Yes.
So that's what makes the tactical RPG so much better to me than like a JRPG or
it is
even an
quite a
action
thrill
RPG.
On a battlefield, having played a few of these now and a couple of them all the way through and being more familiar with the genre, it can be a thrill to try one of these missions once, twice, maybe 3 times, and then finally crack what the gimmick is or the strategy. Yeah. I remember playing Awakening, and we talk about it on the series, but there was one I remember in particular where I was like, I finally realized there are the strategy of being aggressive that I normally do is not going to work. I actually need to be defensive and go for the more protective spots on the grid, which is kind of a rudimentary idea in tactics RPGs, but it was funny that even maybe 2/3 of the way through the game, you could still be introduced into or be forced to solve a puzzle in a way that you had maybe hadn't done in a while. So
yeah, totally.
I love that sort of thing and can resonate with that, with you enjoying the puzzle of it too.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, and then you'll find like, I also love the RPG element of it where you're leveling people up and like kitting them out and figuring out what's going to work for these different teammates of yours, basically, right? And I like learning who should be in the front, who should be in the back. You know, obviously sometimes it's like clear, like, oh yeah, the knight with the armor goes in the front and the archer goes in the back, duh. But then also within your like knights, you'll figure out which ones need to be the point of the spear, basically, and which ones need to be the ones who come in and clean things up. I like the discovery of the strategy.
Yeah, I even in like one game from mission to mission, that can provide a ton of variety for that. And I can't even begin to kind of fathom having all these ROM hacks at your dispersal, how that's just like to the nth degree of variety. Yeah,
there's so much variety because people are so creative, you know, they'll take. There's even, and this isn't one that I liked particularly much, but there's some that are like set in modern day, and but you have like these kids with swords, and they're like fighting on the playground or whatever, kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics in a way, but
yeah, like the opening.
Or how it starts, yeah. But you know, and then it evolves into this story that one got a little out of the weeds for me. But then there's this one that is like your historical explorers on an island. And you uncover this holy relic that then everyone on the island is trying to kill you to get. And so you have to go from place to place, not only like trying to survive, but also trying to, from map to map, you're not just trying to survive, you're also trying to find allies who can tell you what it is and why this is happening. So you're like unlocking the story as you go. And this island is like, man, I don't know. I'm not doing justice to this game, but it was so... Yeah, there's just so much variety in it.
That's so cool. Just using the framework of the storytelling, maybe principles and the gameplay that we're used to either tell like a Fire Emblem adjacent thing or something like that sounds wildly different.
Totally, yeah. And there's so many that are like, oh yes, there's an ancient evil and you're a prince and you need to kill the ancient evil, which they're fun too. But then there's a ton more where people are like, what if we took any other story in the world and put it in this format? And they're really cool. Yeah. I'm loving hearing about this. This is so fascinating. For you, you make this discovery at some point in college, and has it just been something you've routinely gone back to? Have you had seasons where you've been playing them or not? Yeah, I mean, I feel like anytime I'm like planning a trip or something where I'm going to be on if I'm going on a plane or something, some people are downloading books, some people are downloading TV shows, and I do that too, but I'm also checking for a new ROM hack because that could be the perfect thing to do on the plane, or something like that. I don't find myself playing them day to day as much anymore. Just because life changes. The structure of my days is pretty full, but I do, and I find I'm playing other video games,
Yeah.
But I do. They're always something I come back to, and then I'll find that like the way my like addictive personality works is once I get into something again, then I'm doing that for a while.
Yes.
And then I'll move on to something new and do that for a while, and then move on to something new and do that for a while. So like. Especially if there's multiple new ones that I haven't played, then I'll be like, oh, I'm doing these for a while. Once I find them, but if you look back over my like last 20 years of life, you'll be like, okay, so that year was was a ROM hack year. That one was an off year. That one was a ROM hack year. That was an off year, you know?
Yeah. That's great. That gives me a good idea of sort of just like your almost a broad calendar for you of the frequency that you've engaged with this.
Yeah, life is very
concept.
cyclical.
Yes, I very relatable as well. We talked so much about, you know, these games and like what make them engaging and fun for you. I'd love to dive into more of the context of your life, of, you know, this sort of long time experiencing them, because something that this isn't the first time this has happened, but sometimes on the podcast, people bring on a game or an idea that they're revisiting over and over and over, rather than it taking place in one window when you were 7 or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So like, let's start by doing a little scene painting. Whether it be where you would have been playing in college or another period between that and this, can you like scene paint one of the places you would have been playing these games? And it's hard because it sounds like you've been playing them on mobile a lot.
Yeah.
So if there's one that feels right to do this for, we also can skip this exercise.
No, that's okay. I definitely have something for this. I mean, when I lived in Seattle after college, I was there for 3 years before after college, I don't know. This timeline doesn't make any sense. Never mind. Ignore all those numbers. After college, I got a job in Bellevue, but I was living in Seattle, and the way to get there is a bus over the bridge. I mean, or you can drive, but like I didn't have a car. So I was busing over the bridge, and so every morning I would be playing on the bus, surrounded by other professionals who were like reading the paper or whatever, and going to downtown Bellevue to go work in an office. And so the game would be like my morning routine, and then also my bus back I would be on a game, generally on a ROM hack, sometimes Pokemon, mostly Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm on the bus. We're going over the 520 bridge into downtown Bellevue, over Lake Washington. It's beautiful out, but I'm looking down.
Is it packed? Is it like is there a ton of places to be?
Oh, it's pretty packed. This is a popular commute route for sure, but my stop was early enough that I would definitely have a seat. Okay. And there was nobody like. I didn't have to worry about giving it up to an elderly person or anything, because that's not what was going on. So I'd always have this seat. It's like 7 a.m. I've stumbled out of bed at like 6:45 and ran to the bus stop, which was pretty close to my apartment. And I would have coffee and breakfast at work, so I didn't have to worry about that. So I was truly just like waking up with the game.
Wow.
Pretty much every morning for a couple of years before I moved down here.
That's awesome. And one of the most unique scene paintings we've had. I don't think we've had someone share being on the go doing that. So I'm already thrilled.
Well, the other one I could have done was just me in bed, half naked, alone. So it felt less interesting.
Okay, don't tempt me with a good time. That's amazing. Whether it be that period of your life of, you know, taking this commute, or another one that you've had since then, what are some standout memories or feelings that you want to get into context-wise from your life?
Yeah. Well, I didn't have too many other people in my life that knew about these ROM hacks, yes. But I have a cousin who's roughly my age, who unfortunately actually just passed away a couple of months ago. But he and I would talk about these games all the time, because he also his niche was more Pokemon than Fire Emblem, but I would get him into the Fire Emblem ones too. And we were the only two people that I knew of who were playing these ROM hacks consistently. Wow. So we would talk on the phone every couple of months, really. Yeah, and we'd go over whatever games we're going into, and you know, talk a lot of sports too. He's a sports guy, and then it was a way for us to stay connected, because we were born 6 days apart. But he lived in Portland and I lived in Madison, and then I eventually lived in Seattle, but still we weren't that tight, but we had a lot of similar interests. And then, you know, we went to college in different places, but we're like, almost brothers, you know?
Yes.
He would hold it over my head that he was 6 days older than me.
When are your birthdays?
He's March 17th. I'm March 23rd.
Okay. Gotcha. That's great. that's so cool that you had a reason to keep. I mean, sounds like you got along anyway, but that like this being into these ROM hacks were an extra reason to keep in touch.
Yeah, totally. And we would always have Passover at his parents' house. When I was growing up, we'd always go to Portland for that. And I would stay at his house. He and his younger brother, Ben, his name's Alex. The three of us would play so much NHL together or whatever else, like whatever game we were playing down in the basement, we'd play. And just like gaming was a huge part of that for us too. So the three of us stayed connected through games. And then when we were away from each other, not playing together, which was most of the year, right? Alex and I would also have these other games that we were talking about that we were connecting on, which is cool.
Do you have any siblings yourself?
I do. I have two sisters. My one sister is 8 years older and the other one is 5 years younger. So I didn't have that like direct, like same age sibling to pal around with, but I did have a lot of cousins. Like if you go through between my mom's siblings and her cousins, there's a baby born like every year for 15 years.
Wow.
So we all have somebody pretty close to us. Yeah.
I asked because I don't have that many cousins, actually. My dad's side, my dad was an only child of an only child. So none to speak of there. My mom's side, she has two siblings who each have two kids. So I have 4 cousins. Not a ton. But it was always very... So I can just like relate to appreciating the times where you could get together with them. We were kind of, I think we were talking about that earlier in the podcast of like visiting and learning about games from them or discovering things you didn't have yourself.
Totally.
And none of like I had older cousins who were like 9 and 10 years older. We got along, but not the same age at all.
Yeah.
And then my other cousins were just a little, kind of like you were saying about your sisters, just a little too young for me to connect to like a sibling rather. And my sister and I are 2 years apart, so that wasn't different. That wasn't a problem. We were just so different that we didn't have a ton of things we connected on. So I can just appreciate, you talking about getting along with Alex and having all the and you think you said Ben as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Ben's
all these
brother.
things in common, games and sports to keep in touch with. And that must have been special when you visited, especially.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then when I eventually moved to the West Coast, we went to summer camp together too. So that was cool.
Awesome.
And that summer camp, like everybody, my family was, my extended family was like a part of the culture camp. It was cool. So yeah, that was cool. But yeah.
I love that. Do you like thinking about the ROM hacks and maybe something and like ones that you and Alex would have connected on? Is there one in particular that sticks out in your mind? You kind of mentioned a few specifics earlier, so forgive me if I'm just taking us back. But
no, totally. I mentioned specifics without naming them at all, and
That's
I realized that, and I was like, oh man, it's not like I'm going to remember any of these. So let me pull up my list and see which ones spark a memory. Okay, it's moving slowly. Okay, so there's a ton of good ones. But I'll say Treasure Hunters was the one I was talking about with the island. That one was really, really cool. But I think like the first one that really got me hooked on these was and some of these I just named like Hot D. There's something. It definitely stands for something. I don't know what.
What could it be?
Yeah. Oh, Eligor's Spear. That's a cool one. That's a really cool one. That one was. That one Alex also liked a lot. Dream of Five. Oh, that one's sick. Okay, Dream of Five is this one where there's 5 siblings, and you play as one of them trying to find the other 4, and every time you add one, you add like all of their friends to your party. So your party gets really big. But the story and like having a big full party in Fire Emblem is really fun because then you really get to pick like, oh, which character do I like, but also which battle style do I need for these wars, for these various maps, I should say. Who's going to help me solve this puzzle, right? So having a big group to choose from is really cool. And especially when you add a ton at once, then you really get to like learn about them and how to use them through each each map, which I really enjoy. But the story of this is these siblings who all they're all dealing with the grief of losing their parents in a different way. So the writing of this game is incredible because you really are like learning about how different people process grief through this Fire Emblem game, which seems so silly, but it is like, it's such good writing that you're like, you're on a quest and you're solving your quest, but you're also like, all of these characters are dealing with their big trauma in a different way. And you're as the like glue guy in the family, the main character, you are trying to help these people get through it. And if you don't, then the storyline will branch in different ways based on your actions. So you kind of can end up with a negative ending if you aren't able to like help your siblings get over get through their problems, which I think that was a really cool one.
Do you remember off the top of your head, is that sort of ability to fail, is that like making a wrong decision, losing a battle? Is it just not engaging with someone?
It's mostly not engaging, because I think if you do have the conversations and you have to like in battle take a turn to talk to somebody instead of fight. So like you could just not hit talk and then these people then you'd end up with a negative ending.
Yeah.
But if you do there's no like, it's not like a Fable game where you actually are making choices that dictate the outcome, but it is just like whether or not you do the thing.
That's an amazing way to incorporate something that's already in the Fire Emblem series, like on a battlefield where you can gain a new ally. Like, you know, you'll encounter that in a level where it's like, oh, I'm fighting the enemy, but this other character appeared over here. And like Marth or whoever can talk to them. I love that they've incorporated it. That's such an interesting like innovation of the idea.
Yeah, totally.
No wonder.
And
it's another reason
one of my favorite things in the mainline games was that like figuring out who on the other side was recruitable.
Yes.
So it is. Yeah, it's great that they have a way to do it.
When we played Awakening, I definitely left like it was mostly obvious who you needed to do that with, but there was one time I think where I just like didn't talk to someone and they were never on my team. They just never appeared after that battle. This is great. I loved hearing from you about not only the game itself, but the connection that you had, you know, with Alex about these ROM hacks. I want to give you I have two more things I want to do while we're here. The first of which, is there any detail about the game or the context from your life that you haven't gotten to share yet that you really want to touch on?
I don't know. I mean, I think what I love so much about getting to like hole up with a game and not engage with the world is that like that moment to escape and like and be elsewhere. But I also there's so much good writing in these games that people are doing that you don't I don't know. It's like if you're processing something in the back of your head and it comes up in a game, sometimes that can be like, if it's not handled well in the game, if the writing's bad, then you can kind of be like, oh, I don't want to do this right now. But a lot of these games, these individual creators just out in the world are making such good work that a lot of them feel good to talk about whatever the topic is. You know, we've touched on my cousin passing away and definitely like, in the immediate aftermath, I was like, oh, I don't want to do anything that has to do with death. But then you can come to a game that is about like, I think the one I was playing at that time it's called The White Hag, which is, you know, hag is such an odd word, a word with a lot of loaded context sometimes. Yes. But in this case, it is about a woman who everyone thinks is dead, but she actually she didn't die. She just got away from her attackers, and now she's forming up an army to kind of like recapture what was once hers. And you know, obviously that's not ever going to happen with Alex, but the way that it was written and the way that the characters dealt with her supposed death was really good, and it gave me like a little bit of catharsis to have somebody else dealing with death that I could just read and engage with in a video game, which was cool.
Absolutely, yeah. And since even that one that you experienced, the White Hag, like, have you found any new ones that you normally would have shared about? Or anything
I think
notable,
that
I
might
guess?
be the most recent that I played. My archive of games, I actually added almost all of these to it on the same day, so I can't sort by date and figure it out.
Sure.
But I think that is the last one I played.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, it sounds like this is a community that's continuing to work on these, so I'm sure there will be more that come up that will at least, like, sounds like it's always going to be something that reminds you of him at the very least.
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, he's he's a part of the family. He's always going to be. I'm never going to not be reminded of him. But definitely, in terms of Fire Emblem, that'll be one way in.
Yeah, good clarification there. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Well, so then the final question I have for you, or thing I'd like you to do for me, is now that we've finished our conversation about your relationship with Fire Emblem Rom Hacks, can you do me a favor and put a bow on the place that they held for you and just wrap up your thoughts?
Yeah, they've just been like such a constant, constantly available comfort. Something that's always like gonna feel nice and cozy, like it did when I was a high schooler discovering these games. But there's always something new to them. So it's a great blending of like new discovery with comfort that I really value. Some people get that from watching The Office. I don't, so I need something like it. And this is my version of that, which it's really great that people are still making them.
Fantastic. Well, Ezra, thank you so much for bringing these on to discuss today. This has been awesome to chat with you.
Yeah, it's been great to do it. Thank you for asking. It's been
betcha.
Really fun.
But before we go, I do have one fun segment for us to do at the end of the podcast, and that is the game recommendations. Now, listeners will know that this is my one forced tie-in to the movie Call Me By Your Name, where I'm going to treat Fire Emblem Rom Hacks as your passionate summer fling that you have. Unfortunately, things aren't going to work out between the two of you, so I am going to try to set you up to get you over this heartbreak with 3 potential new flings that all have a little something in common with this. Before I do that, though, I need to know one thing, and that is, Ezra, are you ready to get back out there?
I think I am.
I love it. That's all I needed to hear. Well, I'll actually even lead off with the bonus recommendation. This is the only non-ROM hack I'm recommending to you today. And as a tactics RPG fan, I recommend the game Jeanne d'Arc. Do you know this game at all for the PSP?
I've heard of it, but I never had a PSP, so I never played it.
Yeah, I think it's available on other PlayStation consoles now, just through the store. But it's a tactics RPG with a sort of fantasy retelling of Joan of Arc's story. Hence Jeanne d'Arc. It's awesome. I actually played probably like 7 or 8 hours of it on the PSP this year, and it's got all the tactics RPG sort of staples that you would expect with the rock, paper, scissors of it all. There's some really cool special abilities that you can get in this game, but if you're ever like looking for a different coat of paint on your tactics RPG, I recommend Jeanne d'Arc. So that was the bonus I had for you. Now I'll get into the real ones.
Okay, I love that. Thanks.
So the first one I have for you is, and unfortunately, sorry, these are all Nintendo related, so any fans out there who are sick of Nintendo, too bad. The first one I have for you is if you want to go back to the beginning, to one of the earliest ROM hacks ever, I'll recommend a game called Tenkaichi Mario. And this is a Kaizo ROM hack of the original Super Mario Brothers from 1987. Have you ever played a Mario Brothers ROM hack?
No, I haven't.
This one, it just seems like kind of something that people would make today in the Mario Maker series, like an extremely difficult series of levels. But I'll go. I can even like share a video with you at some point just so you can see what it's like. But apparently, this was made as early as 1987.
Wow!
Like a year or two after it originally came out.
That's amazing.
That's your first recommendation. Your second one is if you're like, you know what, I like ROM hacks, but I want you to mix a couple games together. I'll recommend the Super Metroid Link to the Past randomizer. Do you know what this is at all?
I can put it together based on Super Metroid Link to the Past, but I've never heard of it before.
It's a randomizer ROM hack that someone has made where basically as you're playing each of these games, you will like go through doors and suddenly you're playing a section of Super Metroid and vice versa and getting items. You might even be getting items in like Super Metroid's world that you're going to use in A Link to the Past. So it kind of is like doubling the game size and making connections here and there. They also have like Ocarina of Time randomizers that are pretty popular. Of like, if you know the game, it's kind of a fun fresh coat of paint to play it with. But that's if you want to mash up big ol' randomizer, that's one for you as well.
That's cool.
And then lastly, I'm curious if you've heard of this one because you mentioned you like Pokemon Rom Hacks, and I know there's a ton of them, but I'm going to recommend one that just came out this last year called Pokemon Lazarus.
Yes. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, you've played it?
Yes. Yes. Really good.
I've had it on my computer to put on my analog pocket for months, and I just still haven't done it. What do you think?
Oh, you got to do it. Yeah, it's a really good one.
I've heard it's like it sort of has like a Greek sort of aesthetic or like a sort of environment that you're in.
Yeah. I don't remember. This is the problem with playing so many ROM hacks is they all kind of blend together, but
Yes.
I do remember this being really fun. I'm looking at images of it now to kind of jog my memory, but the main thing, like, yes, you're totally right about the Greek thing because there's like this like it's like there's like an ancient Greek vibe to it where but you're in modern times, and so you're going over these like decrepit ruins and things like that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it looks like it's kind of like something somewhere between a Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance title as well. Plays like a Game Boy Advance game, but sort of appears a little closer to what you would remember from like Pokemon Crystal or what have you. So
Yeah.
this is one that's been on my list, which is pretty much why I wanted to recommend it to you. But you played it before me.
I did. I definitely recommend it to anybody who likes a Pokemon Game Boy experience because it is like it like I said before with these ROM hacks, they tend to add like gameplay elements that make things easier, ease of play adjustments, and like things that just make the gameplay experience even though you're playing on like an older style again, they feel a little more modern, and this really does that well. It's really good. It's really good. I
love it. Well, to recap these, we've got, of course, the bonus Jeanne d'Arc, but we have Tenkaichi Mario, Super Metroid and Link to the Past randomizer, and of course, Pokemon Lazarus. That'll do it for the recommendations, and that'll bring us to the end of the show. So before we go and maybe replug stuff that we plugged earlier, once again, Ezra, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This was awesome catching up today.
Yeah, it was so great. Thanks again for asking. I really enjoyed it. I don't talk video games with that many people, so it's nice to do it.
Yes, I have like a memory of us talking games briefly at one of Austin's baked potato parties that she did. Maybe your first year together on Herald Night. But I've like had that in my pocket for a long time to ask you, and I finally did. So I'm so glad you could come on.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked. Like I said, I don't talk that much video games, but I do talk hockey once or twice a week on the Mile High Hockey Lab podcast. The name is silly, but the podcast is good. And then I'm also putting out jokes, political humor on Daily Misinformer every week. And every week my sketch team is uploading a video as well at Public Breakup on all the things. And if you want to watch some improv in person at Dodo Improv. Oh, and I've got two other things I should mention.
Please.
One, Not Too Shabby. That is an open mic for sketch and characters at UCB every Sunday that I host with Elena Martinez, although she's stepping away and I'm working on a new co-host. So change is coming. It's going to be fun. And that's breaking news on this podcast because that happened today. And then also with my friend Kristen Leonard, I host a short film screening series at UCB called Life is Shorts. So our next one is going to be June 13th.
Amazing.
As part of UCB's Pride programming. So it's going to be all queer-related short films. Really excited.
That's so cool. Well, listener, expect just a bevy of links next to Ezra's name wherever you're listening. Well, thank you very much. I'll include all of those below, and then I'll even close this out right now with some plugs of my own, including the cover art for Call Me By Your Game, which is done by Glenn J. You can find his Instagram to check out the other cool artwork that he makes, and a link in the show notes. This podcast is produced, edited, and the original music is done by Jeremy Schmidt. You can follow me Connor McCabe on Blue Sky, and you can also follow me on Twitch, where I've actually been streaming lately. I hadn't done it in about a year, but I've been streaming the original Max Payne. I hope to keep streaming after that, so give me a follow as well at twitch.tv/consiscool69. You can follow the podcast, Call Me By Your Game, on Blue Sky, Instagram, and on YouTube. If you don't already follow us on YouTube, give us a follow there. Check out how wonderful both Ezra and I looked on this episode. The visuals, just to die for. And then lastly, of course, if you're looking for a way to support the show, there's 2 ways you can do that. You can share the show with a friend, or you could also follow us and give us a subscription on Patreon. We have a bunch of tiers. If you're interested in supporting us, find one that's right for you. There's different bonuses at every level, including our free tier, which gives you access to our Discord, where you can have conversations with some like-minded people about all sorts of stuff. There's been a lot of movie and TV talk recently because I'm kind of getting into Batman right now. So if you want to tell me what I should and shouldn't be watching, give us a follow there. But that's going to do it for another episode of Call Me By Your Game. We will see you on the next one.